Okay, you want to know something funny? I just got up literally 3 minutes ago, so excuse me if I say something stupid. And I know my hair's a mess, but you know what? I just got up 3 minutes ago. Okay, you might be able to hear my sisters. You might be able to hear a plane going over our heads because I live in the poor part of Sydney where planes go over your head. Anyway, movies from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Okay, we'll start off with the 60s, obviously, chronological order. 60s, How I Won the War. Okay, that's a movie from the 1960s. It's a comedy, sort of. It's got a really loose plot. It's trying to get a message delivered across, but it is delivered in a strange way. It's about the war, obviously, how I won the war. It's got John Lennon in it, and that's obviously the reason why I got it and watched it. It's about an inept British World War II commander leads his troops to a series of misadventures in North Africa and Europe. And I thought it was pretty funny, especially the John Lennon bits. That was like the highlight of the film. But yeah, it was a good movie, and I just think if you want to see, John Lennon only did this movie other than like the Beatles movies, as far as I know. So if you want to see what type of movies John Lennon would have engulfed himself in, like obviously he picked this movie for a reason. He picked it because this is the type of movie that he would watch and be interested in. So if you want to like explore John Lennon's mind and see what he was into, then this is obviously the movie for you. Obviously a movie for Beatles fans. And it's also a movie for those who are interested in the 60s culture. They're interested in, the way that issues were addressed in the 60s through comedy and satire, because there was a lot of, issues in the society, and they didn't want to address them straight on until like later on in the 60s. This is 1967. They didn't get to protesting. Well, they did protest, but it wasn't as straightforward as in your face and get to the point until about 1968. This is 1967. I know that from like history class. The height of protest for the Vietnam War began in 1968. This is 1967, so it's a lead up. This war is World War II in the movie, but it is a Vietnam protest thing. It's just against war in general. Okay, so that was 3 minutes talking about John Lennon. Brilliant. Okay, 1970s. Let me look up the movie that I'm going to do. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Actually, like, one of my favourite movies, dead set of all time. 7.8 out of 10. 7.8 out of 10 from IMDb. A poor boy wins the opportunity to tour the most eccentric and wonderful candy factory in the world. And it's just, it's so good. I'm not usually one for musicals, and I would class this as a musical. It's a great movie. It's got Gene Wilder, probably like one of the funniest actors of all time. It's got it's a good movie. It's a family movie, I guess you could say. I don't know how to explain it. It's much better than the remake. Much, much, much better. And I don't know. It's a wonderful movie, really good. It's sort of, in one scene in particular, when they're rowing in the canal tube thing, it sort of goes into a psychedelic thing, and you see all these, and it really captures like 60s psychedelic, even though it's 1971, which I guess the 60s psychedelic carried into the 70s in a way. Obviously, you can't, if it's still around today, obviously carried into the 70s quite strongly. But it's a very, very good movie. It's a family fantasy musical. And it's not even that long, it's only 100 minutes. Wow, that's like a typical Disney movie length. But yeah, it's very good movie. Okay, for the 80s, my specialty. Give My Regards to Broad Street, which is a 1984 movie starring Paul McCartney. Paul McCartney's recording of his new album is complicated by the fact that the master tapes of his recording are missing. It has one basic plot, and it's the thinnest plot. It's so bad. It's got Ringo in it. It's got Linda in it, which is lovely. It's so great to see them like working on a movie together, because it was just like the only reason you'd want to watch this movie is if you're a fan of Paul McCartney. But you'd have to be a good fan, because it's 108 minutes, so that's just like 10 minutes longer than the average Disney movie, which is actually no, the average it's 18 minutes longer than the average Disney movie. So the average movie is 88 minutes long. Like the average, every Disney movie pretty much goes for 88 minutes. So that's what I base everything on. It's longer than a Disney movie. It's long. Okay, so 108 minutes. That's 18 minutes longer. Most of the movie is filled up by Paul dressed up as some weird 18th century guy or early 1900s. I mean, 19th century. And it's just a weird movie. You know how some movies have like, a plot? Forget about the plot in this one. This is just straightforward. Paul gets in a car, goes to his job. They say tapes are missing. So he goes to one place and looks for them. Goes to another place and looks for them. Goes to another place and looks for them. Has a dream. And then I won't give away the ending because that'd be silly. Okay, so that's pretty much like, it's a good movie. Mainly because of 80s Paul. But I don't know, if you're not into that, then I can't convince you to watch it, but give it a go anyway, because it's sort of a piece of that. But I've got to go and say bye.